Hello, Black women. Welcome back. It is February, and all month long, I have been focused on the theme of creating our relationships with intention. Amen. Last week, I talked to you guys about ways that you can intentionally create better relationships. And in my coaching community, I covered, I think, 5 signs that your relationship has to change. So, today, I want to talk about, is your picker broken? Can you fix a broken picker? Right? Um, if you are a person that keeps ending up in the same kinds of relationships and you are on a healing journey, so you're wondering, is something wrong with me? I have had that thought. um, why do I keep picking the wrong friends? Why do I keep picking the wrong job? Why do I keep picking the wrong person, partner? Um, why do I keep picking the wrong community? Then that's what I'm going to talk about tonight. Can we fix a broken picker? I want to talk about discernment. I want to talk about detachment. I want to talk about self trust and agency. Um, yeah. So if you are new here, hello, my name is Rashni, aka Glamazini. I am a certified life coach. I am a content creator, and I help Black women heal, amplify their gifts, and create lives that they love that wildly love them back. I am live on YouTube and Facebook. No LinkedIn today. If you are watching wherever you are watching, hit the like button. And if you are on YouTube or if you're not, go to youtube.com/Glamazini and subscribe if you're into weekly videos about healing and creating a life you love. Let me know where in the world you're watching from and drop me a pineapple emoji in the chat. Good evening, Tamika. Thank you for my pineapple. Hey, hi, shoulders. All right. All right, Joe Journal. Thank you for my pineapple. So, first of all, I typically go live on Friday evenings. However, I had a friend in from out of town last Friday and I canceled my therapy appointment because who has money for therapy and mental health when your friend's coming in town? No. Like I'm joking, but I'm not joking. At the beginning of the year, the deductible reset and the therapy appointments go from being $37 a pop to just short of $200. And I really had to stop and think, do I have $200 worth of something to talk to this therapist about? I did not. So I canceled my therapy appointment. I drove to downtown St. Louis and I picked up my friend from her conference and we gallivanted through the streets. And let me tell you what, community and seeing a friend you haven't seen in a while in real life and spending time shopping and giving her like a bootleg St. Louis tour was therapy for me. And it was much more affordable than the $200. Okay, so that's where I was on Friday. Yesterday, your girl washed her hair. So I am sitting here with what in the Virgin Islands we would call full bowl plait. It's blow dried, but it's 4 just random braids all over the place. As I've mentioned to you guys, but I will mention again for anybody watching live or on the replay, this is an apartment. I am separated, you guys, and so this is an apartment. And yesterday was a triumphant moment because it was the first time I actually washed my own hair in my apartment. I had paid somebody to wash it the time before that, the last set of crochet braids, because I didn't know where any of my stuff was. But yesterday, Glamazini'd, and she washed her own hair. And then today, I spent the day cleaning. All right. There was a lot of cleaning going on. And now I'm here with you guys. And so, if also, quick, if you were wondering where I was, that's where I was. And that's why I'm here on a Sunday evening. Quick housekeeping. The next cohort of my Create Your Life virtual planning retreat starts on June 5th. If you would like to learn more, you can visit bit.ly/virtual planning retreat or glamazini.com/coaching. Link is at the top of the information box and on the screen. More of that later. Okay. All right. So let's talk about a picker. Have you ever heard that somebody say, or have you ever said, I'm going to ask that question if you're watching, that you think your picker is broken? That you think your picker is broken? Um, I have absolutely said that I think my picker is broken. And part of the conversation I wanna have tonight is about stuff that I have healed and I've learned on the journey. And also part of it is stuff that I am still working through myself. But a really pivotal aha moment that really helped me, and I want to share with any Black woman watching who thinks that her picker is broken, okay? So, what do people usually mean when they say that their picker is broken? From my estimation, people say that when they feel like they keep choosing the wrong partner, the wrong people to date, be in relationships with, but also they say it when they just keep choosing the wrong anything. So the wrong job, they keep choosing the wrong friends. They keep having like horrible friend relationships. They keep choosing to go into the wrong dynamics or spaces, community spaces, churches, whatever, right? So they notice that there is a pattern that they replicate in different packages, right? There's some dysfunction that they just keep every time they think they go to something new, it's the same type of person in a different package, right? I think sometimes when people say their picker is broken, they also are telling on themselves because they know that they can't discern what a red flag is and what a green flag is. A red flag is, let me see, how do you define a red flag? I guess a red flag would be something that is unhealed, something that is broken, something that is going to cause a poor outcome in the relationship. They're telling on themselves because they're saying, I don't think that I either see the red flags or I know myself. I have a tendency to ignore red flags, right? I think a person, when they say their picker is broken, they are saying what I talked about a few videos back, which is they know that they have a tendency to confuse um, chaos and cortisol and activation with compatibility, right? I did a video about trauma and attraction a few weeks ago, and the thumbnail says that's not chemistry, that's cortisol. When a person says my picker is broken, they are telling that they have a tendency to confuse activation and a bunch of chaos in their life, um, and what they are drawn to, healed or unhealed, as compatibility, right? Another thing that a person is saying when they say that their picker is broken is that they overestimate potential. I think I did a video that might have been the same video, I don't remember. But I think in that video, I talked about, um, one of the ways to anchor yourself when you are creating healthier relationships is to stop interacting with a fantasy version of the person. What is reality? What is actually happening in real life? Not what they said, not what you hope they'll do, and not the potential that you see in them. What are they actually doing in front of you right now? Right? And so a person who says their picker is broken is a person who is admitting that they overestimate potential because you are overestimate as in everybody has potential, you guys. Everybody could be anything, but are they gonna do it? So it's an overestimation if you believe that what you see in a person is actually they actually also have the capacity to and the desire to execute it. Because anybody we could all be in the Olympics 4 years from now. Well, there's age restrictions, but you understand what I'm saying? So potential isn't just whether or not you can see it in the person, it's whether or not that person has a desire or the capacity to apply what and to do it themselves. So you estimate potential in other people, in jobs, in friends, right? And this is one that I have had to heal from. This is me myself. When a person says that their picker is broken, they admit that they keep staying too long in unsafe and harmful places and spaces. That's what I hear them saying. Okay, Tim. Tim just said, "My picker is broken equals I see people as who I want instead of who they are." Exactly, Tim, which is what I was saying about one of the ways that I create more healed and healthy relationships. And this is me. This is a lesson I have had to learn as well as coach women through. You have to deal with what's real in front of you. Not what you hoped they would be, not what they told you they would be, not the potential you see in them. Like Tim says, I see people as who I want to be, which is a beautiful listen, that is a beautiful characteristic to have. I'm not telling you not to hope, but I'm telling you that when you're actually interacting with people, you have to interact with who they are right now. I think in a previous video, I told you guys to ask yourself, if this person never changes, am I okay with how this relationship is? If this friend never changes, am I okay with that? If this job never changes, am I okay with that? Right? Okay. So that's what a person means when they say my picker is broken. They say, "I keep choosing the wrong people, partners, places, and things. I keep having the same pattern and it's repeating in a different package. I ignore red flags. I confuse cortisol and, um, chemistry for compatibility. I overestimate people's potential. I don't operate in reality." And listen, this is not judgment. I am a person who has I'm telling y'all something that I've lived, okay? I stay too long. And I keep being drawn to the same type of unhealed, unsafe person, place, or thing, okay? I told you guys in previous videos, I think it was the trauma and attraction video. Attraction is not shaped by what is healthy. It is shaped by what is familiar. You are drawn to what you are drawn to, often informed by something that happened in your past. So if you had a past experience that formed a healed and more healthy attraction pattern, then you are going to be drawn to that. But many of us did not, especially those of us on a healing journey. And so attraction is shaped by what's familiar, and familiar does not equal healthy. Your body will go to what's familiar, not necessarily what's too safe. Your body will default to what's familiar, not necessarily what's too safe. Your nervous system recognizes patterns, and your brain hasn't even your nervous system is recognizing patterns. The executive functioning part of your nervous system has not even kicked in yet. Right? The healed part of you has to actually think the thoughts and shift your patterns, because your patterns might be going to something that is trauma based. That is trauma based, right? And that doesn't mean that you're doomed, right? The question I posed on this video is, can you fix a broken picker? Spoiler, I think the answer is yes, you can heal a quote unquote broken picker. And I'm talking to you about that later, right? So you're not doomed. And honestly, you're not broken. If that'll help you. What you are is trained to a pattern, and patterns can be interrupted. Patterns can be untrained, retrained, whatever the word is. Yeah? Okay. So let me tell you guys a few of my quote unquote broken picker stories so that you can see that, I'm not new to this, I'm true to this. First of all, I wanted to be an artist growing up. Well, let me start. I had a lot of strange things when I was a kid. If you had asked me what I wanted to be growing up, I would have told you a lot of things. But I definitely am an artsy type of gal, okay? Dancing, painting, theater, all of the things, right? Poetry, drawing, all of those things when I was growing up. And then when it was time to beauty pageants, all of it, right? And so when I was growing up, I thought I was going to be a model or an artist. Like a photographer. I used to take pictures with a little 110 crank camera with the flash cubes, and then I kind of graduated to a different camera. So a lot of my natural interests as a child were artsy fartsy interests. Okay. I'm a creative person. Um, and then when it was time to go away to college, I was basically told, I'm not paying for that. Um, yeah, you gotta get a real pursuit, right? Which if I'm being honest, was heartbreaking to me. It crushed something in me, because I knew that the expectation for me was to go to college, and so I just picked a business thing very half-assed, if I'm being honest. I applied to a gajillion schools because I didn't care, and I got into all of them because apparently I'm smart, and then I just went to one, and it was a great school, Carnegie Mellon, one of the top schools in the country, and I did the business degree, and I snuck in a few art pursuits here and there because that was really my heart, and so something in me learned that what was my natural interest had nothing to do with what I was going to actually do in life. There was an entire disconnect. And listen, I've had a lot of therapy about this, okay? So, when it comes to broken picker, when I came out of that school environment and I had just spent 4 years basically doing something that I could care less about because of the expectation that was on me, do you think that I picked a job that was aligned to me? No. I just stayed on the black excellence conveyor belt and picked whatever. I actually, just told my friend this story when she came this weekend to visit me about how I ended up in St. Louis, Missouri, which is where I am right now. People were coming to my school looking for graduates. I went to a few of the things, and I was when I tell you I was not interested in any of it, I spent 4 years at that school acing everything, like, knocking it out the park, but bored. You wanna talk about ennui, misaligned, bored beyond whatever. So, anyway, long story short, I end up getting one job offer. I I accept that job offer for a huge corporation in a different city than here. And then Anheuser-Busch, which is who I ended up coming to work for, gave me a different opportunity to come interview. And I came here to it was a whole thing, okay? And my picker was entirely broken because after I came here and I took that Anheuser-Busch job, which I was not at all excited about, bored and not interested in. I went from corporate job to corporate job as an employee and or a contractor here in St. Louis, just doing what was expected of me. So, if you look at is your picker broken when it comes to career impact job, I had totally given up on anything that was necessarily super aligned with me. Dancing, singing, all of those things became hobby pursuits barely. Hobby pursuits barely, because that's how they were shaped when I was basically told to drop them, and I kept going into environments with the broken picker, just taking anything. Long story short, I eventually healed that over time by showing up on the internet, doing things that I love, eventually monetizing some of those things, and also creating places where my impact was more aligned and I was actually compensated for it. Fun fact, I did eventually get a part-time job, in the pandemic, and it was one of the more enjoyable it was one of the first times I had had an enjoyable and aligned non-broken picker job. But before that, I had all the trappings of what people would consider to be success, and I just kept going from broken picker job to broken picker job because I didn't care. Okay, next story. I had a broken picker in friendships. The reason why the broken picker showed up in friendships was the same reason why the broken picker showed up in all people related things, right? In communities and in my partnership, which is why I'm in a separation right now, right? What I saw modeled to me was, how do I say this? Overlooking red flags and abundant amounts of grace for unsafe people, places, and things. So, for example, I might be at a church, I might be in a friendship. This person may have whatever they got going on. And I was always the one to be like, well, I mean, they're kind of quirky. Well, I mean, I guess I understand. My downfall, you guys, is the minute I tell myself I understand why a person is the way they are, I would then just continue in the relationship. It took me years of therapy to realize that I get to have discernment and detachment and all the things I'm gonna talk to you about. And just because I know why a person is a horrible human being doesn't mean that I have to then hang out with them and let them continue to be a horrible human being. Okay? So that's my broken picker story when it comes to friendships and when it comes to community and when it comes to the jobs that I was in. I just saw as an example in front of me And it was preached to me and reinforced from many different places that the idea of having a healed picker was just a non thing. Like, you didn't have to be aligned. You didn't have to enjoy your job. You didn't have to have healthy people around you. You just kind of accepted the thing and went forward. Okay? So those are my broken quote unquote picker stories. But this is what changed it for me. This is what changed it when it came to eventually having income with something that I like. Oh, I didn't even say that. When I was um the job thing was especially painful because I was told that artists don't make money and I need to like put that down. And when I tell you that artists don't make money thing shattered something in me, it's part of the reason why my LLC is called This Is Art. It's also part of the reason why there's a easel behind me and a 6 foot tall paintbrush. But if you guys never noticed that, right? Because I knew that I was an artist and basically telling me that what I was not something that could draw any compensation shattered something in my like 17-year-old brain that I have since been trying to um recreate, right? And so, the thing that changed everything for me when it came to do I have a broken picker and what's quote unquote wrong with me? Because when you're on a healing journey, you will end up in the abyss. Like there is a dark night of the soul where you are shedding all of these things, right? You are no longer able to be in friendships that feel unsafe and you're no longer able to just take any old job that is crushing you and treating you poorly and you're no longer able to be in spaces, communities, churches, anywhere that is telling you to abandon yourself or in relationships that are treating you poorly, but you still have not gotten the new thing yet, right? So there's this dark space. And when I was in that darkest space, which thank God I'm past a lot of that right now. When I was in that darkest space, I remember really being like, my picker is broken. I do not make good choices. Now, two things that helped me. The first thing that helped me is I had to sit down and I would encourage you to do this. Sit down and ask yourself, is every job I choose horrible? Is every job or am I just focused on the ones that were? Has every friendship been horrific? Do I have any good friends? That's the question I would ask myself. If you've had 3 friends that suck and you have 2 friends that are great, it means that you actually do have the capacity to quote unquote pick healthier friendships and you're hyper focused on the ones that went poorly. Now, if you watch any of my old friendship videos, you know that friendships turn over on average. Research shows that friendships turn over on average every 7 years. And I'm not saying that friendship breakups are not bad. I'm just saying the expectation that everybody's here for the long haul is part of the problem, right? If you realize that if you focus more on the 2 good friendships that you do have and understand that the 3 that went poorly were just statistically going to happen, then that's part of the thing that helped me. But the second thing that helped me was this. The second thing that helped me was this. I was walking one day a few summers ago, you guys, and I was listening to a podcast, and I don't remember what the person on the podcast said, but this voice in my head, yes, a voice in my head. The voice in my head said, "Your picker isn't broken. Your putter downer is broken." And I was like, "What?" I still remember where I was on my walk. The voice then goes on to say, "It's not what you pick up, Rushni, it's what you put down." Then I started to see myself in a store. I'm just walking through my neighborhood, okay? And I know this is gonna help somebody because this helped me. When I tell you this freed me all the way up. I started to see myself in a store, like a metaphorical store. And I'm walking around the store and I'm browsing around the store and I'm looking at things on the shelves. And I'm picking up this bowl and I'm thinking, "Oh, that's nice." And I'm looking at this lip gloss and I'm thinking, "Oh, how much does this cost? Da 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 da. Have I seen this one before?" You know? And I'm picking up something else and I'm holding it up and I'm looking at it and I'm just doing what you do in a store, right? I'm even picking up the sweater, taking it to the dressing room, and I'm trying it on. And then I saw myself putting things back down, right? And when I'm in a store, nobody would say that my shopper's instinct is broken, my picker is broken, just because I picked up this bowl, looked at it for a while, even walked around the store with it and said I was gonna buy it, and then didn't buy it. Nobody would say anything about my picker was broken if I bought this bowl, took it home, sat it on the counter, had it sit there for 30 days, picked up the receipt, changed my mind, and went back to the store. Nobody would say anything about that. And in that moment, you guys, I realized what my picker is broken was doing. It was trapping me in a place that I did not have to be trapped at. Just like the 3 friendships that ended and the 2 that didn't end, I was looking at the wrong thing, right? Picking things up, choosing a relationship, choosing to explore a friendship, choosing to explore a partnership. That's exactly all it is. It is exploration. It is exploration, right? It's not exploring. That's the problem. Nothing's broken about that. Matter of fact, pick it up, inspect it, look at it. It's keeping everything, holding it in your hand and saying, "Oh my god, this is so bad. I don't want it." Sorry. I have to do this so you can see this. "I don't like this bowl. This bowl is harming me. I don't know what to do with this. What am I gonna do with this bowl? This bowl is not my favorite bowl. I don't want this bowl anymore. I This bowl is horrible. This bowl treats me poorly. This bowl doesn't listen to me. The girl, put the bowl down." Right? Which is why I said to you guys, I'm gonna talk about this a little bit more. This video is about discernment. This video is about detachment, right? This video is about agency. This video is about self-trust. When you go into a store, you know that you're browsing. When you go into a store, you know that you are not obligated to pick anything up. And you also know that every single thing you pick up to inspect and explore, you are not obligated to keep them, right? If I go try on this sweater, I'm not married to this sweater. And so when I don't want it anymore, I don't feel guilty putting it back. I bought 2 of these sweaters off of TikTok Shop. This sweater I'm talking to you about, I bought 2 of them in 2 different sizes, and I returned one of them. I'm not married to the sweater I don't have any broken picker narrative about the fact that I returned the sweater. I feel no guilt about putting them back. And that, my friend, is discernment. Right? That, my friend, is discernment. So in relationships, we will often attach ourselves to the picking up stage as though that means something. Hear me when I say this. We will confuse the fact that we went on a date, befriended this person for a day, a week, a month, a year, whatever it is, interest in a thing with full out commitment to the thing. We will confuse the fact that we got into the job, the people lied to us about the job turned out to be actual hell, and now we feel like we're stuck as some sort of destiny. We will confuse potential in a person with the fact like that we are stuck and we have to be there. Instead of the fact that we are just going through life, exploring, discerning, practicing detachment sometimes. And if something is unsafe and is harming us, instead of holding on to it and just lamenting our lives now that we have this bowl in our lives, we have this bowl in our lives, we have to learn when to put things down. So it's not that your picker is quote unquote broken. It is that you have to learn when to detach and put things down, when to remove yourself from unsafe friendships, when to remove yourself from unsafe partnerships, when to remove yourself from jobs that don't serve you, when to remove yourself from places that are not good for you, right? Maturity is understanding that just because you're drawn to something does not mean that you have to keep it forever. You do not have to keep it forever. All right. Let me see. Tim says, doo-dee-doo-doo, I had to unlearn the idea that the most noble thing I could ever do was to sacrifice and abandon myself for others. I am on that journey too. I think I we get a lot of messaging. Tim, you are not a black woman, but although you know what's funny, Tim, you kind of look like my cousin in that video in your avatar, but that's okay. Okay. I have a family member. You remind your facial structure looks just like him. And yes, he's a very light-skinned black man. So whatever. But I usually talk to black women, and I would say this, Tim, but obviously you're sharing that you have had a similar experience. Black women are trained socially to be the sacrificial lamb for everybody. And so often we get that honest. You get it from people modeling something for you, that sacrifice is the most noble thing, and nothing is wrong with sacrifice, but I believe that sacrifice should come from a place of agency and not obligation, and that's something that I had to learn, and I'm still learning. My life needs to be full of Rushni. My name is Rushni. I need to have a life that is self full of Rushni, and I need to pour from a full cup onto the other people. So when I choose to be sacrificial or to give or to go above and beyond, I'm going from a full cup of a life that is full of who Rushni actually is supposed to be in her life and not from the empty vapors of a life where I don't even know who I am because the only thing I do is uh, fulfill a role in other people's lives. Right. So I absolutely agree with you. You said it reminds you of the saying, don't refuse to let go of a mistake just because it took a lot of time and effort to make. Correct. 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 All right. So, let's see. I'm looking at my notes. Let me scroll down in my notes. Let me scroll down in my notes. I put here, it's not what you pick up, you guys, it's what you put down. If you get nothing else from this video, it's not what you pick up, it's what you put down. It's not what you pick up, it's what you put down. You're going to be attracted to people. Matter of fact, if you come from an unhealed background and you are on a healing journey and there's any trauma, you're going to be attracted to what is familiar, not necessarily what's safe and healthy. And you have to retrain yourself, right? There's a retraining that you have to do. And so you're going to be attracted to things that are not exactly always the healthiest and the most safe and healed thing. And that's human because you're a human being. You're going to misjudge things sometimes. That is human. You are a human being. You're not always going to see the red flag. And every once in a while, you're going to see the red flag and you're going to ignore it because that's what you did, right? Tim just talked about being a sacrifice. Sometimes the sacrifice message tells you that ignoring red flags is noble because that person needs you, and grace and all of these things. And you just here they come to tromps all on you and you laying down to let them. You're going to default back to the messaging that you learned. That is human. That is human. But what will determine how healthy your relationships are that you create moving forward is your willingness to release something when reality shows up in your face. Remember, we're not we're not here having relationships with fantasies. We're not here having relationships with anybody's potential. Okay? I did that. So you don't have to. Okay, I'm turning 50 in 72 days. I'm here to tell you we don't have relationship with people's potential. I'm not saying seeing people's potential is not a good thing. And I think I went deeper about this in another video. It's good, but if you see the potential in that person, they have to actually be making choices, actions, and behaviors toward fulfilling that potential, or else you, my friend, are in a fantasy. Everyone has potential. Okay. I'm a potential Olympian. If you don't see me outside running on the track to get to the Olympics, then you are in a fantasy if you think I'm gonna be in the Olympics in a few years. I'm not. And you are Delulu. And we're not doing that. Okay? We're not doing that. So what determines the relationships that you're gonna create is how quickly, honestly, you are willing to release a fantasy and to anchor yourself back in reality. When do you put the thing down? I don't really care that you picked it up. When you put it down? Is it when they disrespect you? Is it when they yell at you? Is it when they cross a boundary? Is it when they what is the criteria to put the thing down? To end that thing or to reconsider how you show up in that friendship, to renegotiate how you show up in that partnership, right? Or is it when they're super inconsistent? I think it's gonna be different for everybody. Is it when they break your trust, call you out your name, when you notice that your body's bracing every single time you think about the phone ring and you don't even want to deal with them, right? It's not a failure to put the thing down. That is discernment. This is the thing I had to this listen, I don't know why when I went on that walk and this thing hit me where it's like, "It's not your picker, Rushni. Your picker's not broken, your putter downer." And I was like, "What the hell does that mean?" And it literally was like, when you go to a store and you walk around the store and you're picking up stuff and you're inspecting it, nobody says anything about you putting it back. You could literally put it back while you're in the store. You could walk around the store with it in your hand the entire time, say you're gonna buy it, put it back. You could buy it, walk out of the store, get in your car, drive out, drive around the block, come back to the store 5 minutes later, give it back. Nobody would say anything is broken about you. Take it home, like I said. You could use it. I literally went to the store the other day. The woman told me, "Buy," you could buy the woman in the store said, "Oh, you could buy both of them, and whichever one you don't like, you could bring it back." I said, "Even if I used it?" She said, "Yes." That is not failure. That is maturity. Discernment to know when something no longer is aligned with you. Or if something is causing you harm, a person is causing you harm, this friendship is trash. This relationship is over. This job is no good. Discernment is when you are like, yeah, that's not good, and you put it down. The failure actually is the failure of discernment. It's not a failure when you have to put things down, right? Saying that you picked it up and it was wrong is judging yourself for being human, right? A person who is healed, healing and healed is not a person who never picks anything wrong, right? A person who is healed or has a healed or fixed picker is a person who doesn't keep it when they realize it's no longer aligned, when it is causing them harm. They put it down, right? Okay, so I wrote down a few reasons why I think we often don't quote unquote put things down, why we pick things and we hold on to them while they're harming us. We're gripping onto this thing while the blood is this person is horrible. Every time you go near this person, they are your life is shorter because this person is in your life and you know it. And it's no judgment because I've done it. Okay. So why don't we put things down? I think I put here, we invested too much time. I think, wait, didn't you say that, Tim? Let me see. Doo, 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 doo. I feel like Tim. Yeah, yeah. This reminds me of the saying, "Don't refuse to let go of a mistake just because it took a lot of time and effort to make." That's what I wrote. I said, "We in the reason one of the reasons we don't put things down when they're harming us, hurting us, humans, friendships, partnerships, relationships, familial connections, all of it is sunk cost fallacy." Sunk cost fallacy is when we feel like we've invested so much time in this thing and we don't want to abandon it because we feel like we got to get a return on our investment, even though abandoning it is the better option. You can have a benefit, a guaranteed benefit from abandoning that course of action, right? Like you ring the bell for the elevator is taking forever, and you don't want to leave because you feel like when you turn the corner, you're going to hear the elevator show up. But if you leave, you have 100% chance of getting downstairs because you have 100% chance of getting to the staircase. But instead, you hang out at the elevator door for an even longer time because you just that is the falsehood of, why we don't end friendships, why we don't leave jobs. I coach Black women all the time, and here, this is very complex. This is nuanced. This is not a very black and white thing. But one of the things I hear people say is they hang out at jobs for a really long time because they want the job to give them some benefit. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but I'm saying you should have a cutoff point where you're like, I'm gonna wait here 3 more months. And if they fire me and give me severance, I'm out. But don't wait there 3 more years when this job is sucking the live. It's a leech sucking the living daylights out of you. Okay. Another reason why we don't quote unquote put things down when we have a picker is some of us are afraid of being alone, right? Some of us are afraid that we can't get another job, we can't make another friendship, we can't get another partner, and so we just keep on going because the idea of being by ourselves is so overwhelming that we choose the devil that we know. But if you remember, I had Dr. Kamani Norrington Sands on my page last year, and she said the devil that you know is still the devil. It's still the devil. So choosing the devil that you know is standing in front of the elevator door, taking a 50% chance of your whole life being wasted in front of this elevator door instead of going to the 100% chance of the staircase, right? Another reason why people don't put things down, I already touched on this one, is we see the potential of our partner. We see the potential of the friend. They've told us all of these future fakey dreams and things that they're going to do for us one day. And they've caught you up in a fantasy, and you are living in that fantasy with them. Let me tell you something. As a person who has I am an empath to the point that it has harmed me. And I had to realize that I went from empath to enabler. And I'm gonna give you the pro tip. The pro tip is I don't care how much potential there is in a person. If you do not see that person, not you, not you dragging them, if that person has not expressed the desire for that potential thing to happen in their life, and is not making any choices, actions, and behaviors toward that potential thing happening, you are enabler. And that is a fantasy. You are in a fantasy with that person. And the only way to stay in relationship, in a friendship, in a relationship, at a job, etc., with something like that is to go into their fantasy with them or to leave it. Or to leave it. And when I tell you that's a lesson that I had to learn. I had to start detaching from fantasy, the potential of a person, okay? Y'all, I have the potential to be on the cover of Vogue magazine, but if you don't see me doing the work to get to the Vogue magazine, I am in la la land, okay? I appreciate you for believing in me, but also you are in a fantasy, and that's why you haven't put this thing down. You haven't quit this relationship, right? Another reason I wrote down is we hope that this time it will be different. If you have done absolutely no work to heal the reason why you stumbled out of the frying pan into the fire the last time, guess what's going to happen the next time you quote unquote pick? You're going to stumble from the frying pan into the broiler. Once again, just like they're in a fantasy, you're in a fantasy because you have not expressed any desire to heal and change the fact that you keep stumbling into these crappy situations. Discern why you are doing it. Sit down, pause yourself for a second, stop getting booed up, Find out why you keep picking the same raggedy dude, and then put some choices, actions, and behaviors, and even some support and community, maybe a therapist or something in place, an accountability partner to choose differently. But just picking and thinking every time the problem is not the picker, the problem is, oh, I just picked the wrong one this time. No, you are defaulting to some trauma-based thing. You haven't built the muscle of putting things down. So you're going out into the world, being drawn to the unhealed version of the thing that you are attracted to that is still unsafe for you. And you're just going to keep grabbing the same thing in a different package, the same harmful job, the same janky friend that never shows up for you, the same raggedy man. Okay. Another reason why we don't put things down, it gets stuck in our hand and we're lamenting. This is such a weird analogy, but I really think this is gonna help somebody. Put this bowl down. You sitting here for years talking about, "Oh my god, it's hurting me." Girl, put the bowl down. Another reason why is something in us feels like we need to prove that we're gonna make it work this time, right? And this has a listen, it's a little there's a little self-esteem problem in that one, but I am not a mental health professional, okay? I am a coach. But when you are a fixer, right? When you're Captain Save a Hoe type of person, where you are often going out into the world and picking broken things, broken people, broken things, and then lobbing yourself into sacrificing yourself for their healing. One, that is often a learned behavior based off of your self worth being attached to the role that you play in other people's lives, your self-worth being attached to how low you can go and how much you can sacrifice for other people, right? And it's also a distraction so you don't have to deal with your own mess. So you keep going out into the world and picking projects. Something about the fact that this person needs you. This friend is always down on their luck. They always need you for something to fix, and you get a boost of your self-esteem by always throwing on your cape and swooping in to save them. Boo-boo, that's a distraction. Your picker is not broken. You're legitimately going out and trying to fill voids in yourself, and I would behoove you to go to a therapist and get your self-esteem up so that you understand that you deserve to have peers who can show up for you as a whole healed individual in your life. And if you do show up in that way in other people's lives, like I said earlier, it is out of overflow and agency and not obligation. You don't feel like less of a person if you don't have a project in queue to fix, right? The other reason why you don't put things down is a lot of us, especially Black women, are taught that endurance and struggle equals loyalty and love. Endurance and struggle equals loyalty and love. Let me tell you something. One of the more heartbreaking things being a Black woman on a healing journey, or just anybody on a healing journey, is realizing that you have trauma informed attraction. You've come out of a space wanting true connection and love and partnership, for example, realizing that what you created was a trauma bond mess and then doing the work to figure out, "Why the hell did I end up in this space? How did I ignore all these red flags?" And realizing that the family of origin that you came from probably is where you got this janky thing, and therefore you kind of never were loved well. Heartbreaking. Ask me how I know. Okay. I see it all the time. And so often we are taught by example, by modeling, and by people actively giving us bad advice. Just because somebody's older than you doesn't mean they're giving good advice. Remember, check the tree before you pick the fruit. If that person has not created something that you want, that advice, smile at them, but you don't have to take somebody's advice just because they're older than you. They're well-meaning people that will drive you right into the ditch, okay? Mama and Pookie and them and Uncle so and so, they mean well, but they don't know how to get you there either, okay? And so we have been taught that love is endurance and love is struggle. And if something feels easy and something feels um warm and supportive, something's wrong with that, right? Peaceful. Your nervous system is so used to cortisol and chaos that when you have peace and calm and regulation, you don't know what to do with it. And all of a sudden you have a panic attack because everything's calm, right? And so that could be why I talked to you guys in a previous video about being addicted to chaos in relationship and things that you can do about that, right? I think that's the one that says, that's not chemistry, that's cortisol on the thumbnail. That's what it says on YouTube, right? I think it's called trauma can be masked as attraction, right? And then the last and most important thing, reason why you might think your picker is broken and why you actually aren't putting stuff down, you guys, is you don't trust yourself to choose better. You have not developed self trust, right? You don't trust yourself. And this was a problem that I had and I still have. I'm not going to lie. I don't feel that way about jobs. I don't feel that way about friendships. I do kind of feel that way about a partnership though, because of the situation I'm in. But I have been doing what I'm about to tell you guys, and it has been super helpful. But self trust is integral to quote unquote fix a broken picker or heal your ability to discern, detach, and put something back down when it doesn't serve you. Self trust. You think this is all you can do. You don't know. You picked something that felt right in the past, and you ended up in a place that felt like you were in a wood chipper. So now you're like, "Whoa, I can't pick," which is an overcorrection and which is typical. That happens when we're trying to heal. But eventually the pendulum is over here. The pendulum has swung all the way over here, and now we need it to settle in the middle. Okay, so let's talk about how you quote unquote heal or how you fix a picker, right? A quote unquote broken picker, right? You don't fix it per se. You heal your relationship with discernment, detachment, self trust, agency, and desire. You heal, right? Your relationship, you grow the muscles of discernment, detachment, self trust, agency, and desire. What is agency? Agency is the fact that you get to choose. Every single thing in this world you get to choose. Even if it feels like you don't get to choose, a lot of times you do get to choose. You just never explored the fact that you do get to choose. It's a choice. Make a different choice. Get up tomorrow and make a different choice. Don't like your hair like that, choose something different. Hate your job, find a different job. Hate your apartment, find a different apartment. Redecorate your apartment. Hate your body, um, practice self-love, become body positive, go to the gym, change how you eat. Don't like how this friend is treating you, say a word to the friend. If the friend cusses you out, get rid of that friend, block them, find a different friend, go to a group, meet people with similar interests, make a different choice, make a different choice, make a different choice. And I'm not saying everything. I mean, we have to be realistic, right? I can't wake up tomorrow morning and be like, I want to be 5'2" because I am 6'1". Okay. But even in that ridiculousness, if I wanted to live a life of a shorter person, maybe I could be a strange person who's like, I'm going to be a short person and I just sit in chairs all the time for the rest of, I don't know. People do weird things on the internet. It's a choice. So, agency, healing your relationship with agency is waking up in the morning and really understanding that you are driving this thing called your life. You are a creative being. It is a choice. Make a different choice. So the first way you heal your picker is you heal your relationship with the fact that you get to choose something different. You have to become ridiculously curious and keep asking yourself, is there another option? Is there something else that I have not thought of? Why do I keep picking people like this? Why do I keep picking people like this? And ask yourself a question. Ask yourself a question. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing you need to heal your relationship with is desire, which is what do you want? You know that when you're coaching with me, one of the first things I walk you through is the idea of identity, which is the answer to the question, "Who am I?" And if you know who you are, which is ever evolving, but you have a good baseline to start from, the next question I would love you to find out is, "What do you want?" Because you can't pick something if you aren't familiar with at least what you're looking for. Some sort of clarity. If I go into the store and I pick this up, how do I know if I want to buy it? Something about me has to understand something about this bowl. Now, I'm gonna give you a little FYI on this bowl. I have little ramekins at my house. And when I was coming to this apartment, I was gonna miss the little ramekins because I use them all the time for all sorts of little things. And I literally said to myself, "Man, I would love to have some" I have they're yellow, green, and, like, they're 4 different colors. And instead of buying them, I was like, "Oh, I would love to have some little containers just, to use just like my ramekin." And that day, the Buy Nothing group, which is the free cycle group that I have, somebody put these little yellow glass bowls in the group. I don't know if you guys can see, but, yellow is, your girl's favorite color, and they literally put 4 of these bowls in the group and was like, "I've had these forever. I don't know what to do with them." The other thing was my ramekins are ceramic, and I was like, "I don't want little plastic bowls. I want, like, a natural material." So I wanted ceramic or glass. These popped up. I went, I grabbed them. They're perfect. I use them for so many things every single day. They just had a bunch of my snack nuts in them. Sometimes I put my vitamins in them. Sometimes I put sauces in them, whatever. You know how come I knew this was for me? I knew what I wanted. So you have to heal your desire, your relationship with desire. When you go into a relationship with a friend, you kind of have to have a ballpark of what you want. There's also a version of going to a store, not having a full understanding that you want that thing, but when you pick it up, you know it matches you. Same thing in relationship. You might not be looking for that person, that friendship, that connection, but if you have a better concept of who you are, then when you get in relationship with that person, when you get in interaction with them, you have a better concept that they are aligned and that your picker is healed. So heal your relationship with your agency, which is the understanding and the acceptance that it's a choice. You have choices. You are the driver of your life, and heal your relationship with desire, which is getting clearer on who you are and what you want. Heal your relationship with self trust, you guys. Self trust is the belief that you are reliable for picking things and putting them down in your own life. And this is hard because often when you get into the idea of a broken picker, you are not a person that trusts yourself. So this is not something that's going to come by default or naturally. This is something you are going to have to learn. I'm not even going to say relearn. Learn from scratch at your big age. Okay? And I'm going to say at my big age because we're all learning, okay? Do you trust yourself? I will give you this hint. Because a lot of us are so detached from our bodies and we live from the neck up in the intellect, which is how the system wants us to be, right? It works best when we are detached from ourselves. From a young age, we're told not to feel our feelings, and that didn't mean that, and detached from how we feel, and we're trained to whatever. One of the cheat codes to getting back to trusting yourself is getting in line with how your body sensations lead you, because your body and your nervous system will tell you things way before your mind ever does, or even if your mind doesn't, because you may have been trained to cut off that feeling. If you show up in a relationship and for some reason every time you're around this person, your stomach drops and you can't and you keep thinking, "But they seem like a perfectly good person." Put them down. You know why? Because 1, you're either picking up something that's unsafe, your stomach is dropping because your body and nervous system is reading them as unsafe and your mind is not getting it, or they are a perfectly safe individual and you have a trauma response to them. So they're either gonna hurt you or you're gonna hurt them. So you gotta heal that. They might remind you of somebody. Either way, you're not gonna show up in a healed way in that space, right? So the cheat code is learn self-trust, and the fast track is start listening to your body, especially if you are a person that is so detached from trusting your instincts and intuitions, do you get hot? Does your ear start burning? Does are you gripping your fist? Are you grinding your teeth? Are you flinching every time you see this person's name on the phone? When they're coming toward you, are you like hold do you realize you're holding your breath? Flutter in your stomach. Stomach starts flipping all over the place. Listen to that. That's one of the ways you can start to build the muscle of self-trust. The other things that you have to um, do is heal your relationship with discernment. Discernment is your ability to form an opinion about something and make a conclusion, right? It's the judgment. Healing your ability to judge something. I pick up this bowl, I look at it, I'm in the store, I think, oh, this is perfect, but I wish it were blue. I put it down. I pick up this thing. I say, oh, blue, but I wish it were smaller. I put it down. Discernment is learning how to judge things and people. And I don't mean judge like their value and their worth as a human being. I mean judge as in come up with an opinion as to whether or not that person is aligned with you and the relationship you are considering them for. Is this what I want in a friend? Is this person flaky? Does flaky drive me crazy? Or am I flaky too? So we're a match made in heaven, right? Big things and small things. Is this person a smoker? Is this person a cheater? Is this person amazing with money? Does this person feel safe and supportive? Does my nervous system regulate every time I'm around this person? Do I spend the entire time I'm with this person laughing? Do I feel like I can be 100% authentic with this person? I do not have to hide any parts of myself. Or conversely, when I walk into this job, do I feel like I have to contort myself and code switch into an entirely different human being that I don't even recognize 8 hours a day, right? So heal your relationship with discernment. Pay attention to patterns and not promises. If you have been picking janky human beings to be in your life left, right, and center, and you don't know how to stop yourself, pay attention to patterns. Even if you have to sit down and write down, I asked this person to not call me after 9 p.m. They called me at 9:15 and they said, "I'm sorry, I forgot." And I said, "Okay." And then 2 weeks later, they called me at 9:45 and I said, "Hey, why are you like, stop first of all, stop picking up the phone. If the person is calling you after a time you said, 'Don't call, don't call.'" But pay attention to their inconsistency, and are you okay with that? Patterns, not promises. And the last thing is, remember, it's not what you pick up, it's what you put down. When you trust yourself, when you realize you're driving this thing, when you have a better idea of who you are and what you want, and when you are more discerning, you have a better concept of what opinion you have about this thing you just picked up. I like this. I don't like this. I like them. I don't like them. I feel great when I'm around them. They make me laugh. I feel like I can be myself. I feel expanded. I feel contracted, right? That will help you increase your relationship with or heal your relationship with detachment when you put it down sooner. If you have ever said my picker is broken, the cheat code is you put it down sooner, girl. Put it down sooner because you're going to hurt it or it's going to hurt you. It might be perfectly fine. Put it down sooner and take a minute to regroup, right? I would also suggest getting some support, therapist, a coach, somebody to help you reality check. Because if you're a person that's operating from trauma, you might be putting everything down and like the pendulum might swing. So you might need to have somebody teach you that this is what healed feels like. But healing your relationship with detachment, which is your ability to separate from things and put them down, put it down, sweetie. You can end that friendship. You can configure that friendship from like close friend to acquaintance. You can quit that job. You can work remote. You can not be in that relationship. You can exclusively date other people, right? You have agency, right? And the other thing I would say is do it quick, do it early. Don't be a ridiculous slash and burner, though. If you are a slash and burner, well, this video is for picker broken people. So, you know, if you're a person who needs some help with learning detachment, right? My advice would be willing to trust yourself and put it down. It doesn't have to be some big dramatic thing. You don't have to go in there freaking out. Think about the store analogy and just think, I don't want this right now. Or this is not a good fit for me right now. Or this is not the right size or whatever. And when you trust that you have agency to put in your life and take out of your life what you do and don't want, you will put things down quicker and you will practice earlier detachment, right? You are less likely to pick the same things when you are healing. This was something, and this is not was, this is something that I have had to tell myself over and over. This is something that I'm still working on when it comes to romantic relationships specifically, right? I got it when it comes to friendships. I got it when it comes to impact and career and jobs. I got it when it comes to most other spaces. And I have to recall and remember that the person that picked in the past is not the person that's picking now. When you grow, your tastes change. When you grow, your understanding of agency changes. You do not feel like you are a passenger in your life. You get in the driver's seat and you drive. When you grow and you are healing, you start to understand more of who you are and what you want, right? In relationships, in friendships, and how close or not close this person can or cannot be. When you grow, you start to trust yourself. You feel more reliable in being able to make choices, pick things up, and to put things down. Have you ever gone to the store and just walked past something, knew it was going to fit you, or knew it was going to be your favorite thing, and walk by? I literally walked past a two-piece set in the store that I was trying to get out of TJ Maxx, okay? I was trying to get out of T I went in there for one thing. I went in there for one thing. I found the one thing I went into TJ Maxx for. I tried not to look. I spotted a two-piece set. Didn't even have to try it on. Eyeballed it. Picked it up, walked up to the front, came home, put it on, perfect fit. You could be like that in a relationship, okay? When you heal or when you are healing, your ability to discern improves. Your ability to put things down quicker increases. You have less tolerance for things that dysregulate you and make you feel unsafe. One of the tragedies of being a person is who comes from a traumatic background is you're so used to the chaos that oftentimes you're sitting in the middle of chaos, allowing chaos right, left, and center because you don't know that you don't have to. You think this is normal because it was normal, right? But when you mature, your maturity will sharpen your ability to discern and detach, to pick up, to judge, to put down, and not look at it as a failure, but look at it as just that's how it goes. You pick some things up, you pick up some friendships, you friendships start, friendships end. People align, people don't align. And when you start realizing this, you'll also start realizing that everyone isn't for you and you are not for everyone. And that is normal. That is mature, right? The person who picked in the past and did not put down was a past version of you that was gripping onto this thing. She don't exist anymore. Thank her for the healing work she has done and put that thing down. She is not driving anymore. You are, right? I put in my notes here. Creating relationships does not mean that you get to control anything. I always tell you guys this. You don't have control, you have influence. If you think you are in control of things, that is an illusion. You get to choose and aim in a direction. It's a choice. and you get to aim what direction the thing goes. You don't get to guarantee that it hits the middle of the target, but you do get to toss it towards the target. Okay, if you're chucking things in that way and what you want is over there, you're never gonna hit it. You definitely have influence, right? If you're a black woman healing, it means something had to heal. That's what right? You're never gonna control what you were attracted to because by definition, something was getting you and you had to heal it. So, creating relationships from a healed place means that you become a woman who trusts herself enough to align with what is aligned for her and release what is not. Yeah? Your picker is not broken. Your picker was trained and your picker can be untrained. If you've been beating yourself up, I encourage you to stop, to try to not beat yourself up and to reframe for yourself that you get to choose something different, that you do not need to judge the fact that you picked anyone, anything, any scenario, but you do get to learn by practicing over time, putting things down that no longer fit you, because that is a muscle that you can grow once you know that that is possible. Amen. Amen. If you want to work with me as your coach, you can find out how I can support you at glamazini.com/coaching. The link is on the screen and in the information box of the video. The next cohort of my Create Your Life virtual planning retreat starts on June the 5th. Create Your Life is my combination of group coaching and my virtual planning retreat. I did that planning retreat by myself, me, myself, and I for many years. And then in the pandemic, a coaching client mentioned she would love to do it with me. I didn't know what she was talking about. The whole world shut down. And the next year, I ended up doing it for free with 50 women total across January and February. Since then, I've done the planning retreat every year, sometimes multiple times a year with different coaching clients. And now it is my main program. The December ladies have gotten, let's see, 10 monthly accountability calls. Well, let me start over. I start them with answering the question, who am I? Which is identity work, which is the foundation. And then from that answer, we spend a week of self-paced modules, videos, audios, etc., of you learning how to create a plan for your next season. It's your next year, based off of who you are. And so when you're done with that week, every participant has their own unique plan. And then after that, the June accountability participants get 9 monthly accountability calls with me, group coaching basically, to help you execute what you actually plan. The December ladies have had 2 of their accountability calls so far, and we will meet again in March. I've also started co-working with them once a month. So that's been going really well. I did it as a trial and it's been going really well. If you are interested, you can visit bit.ly/virtual planning retreat. Let me put that on the screen. You can visit bit.ly/virtual planning retreat to learn more about the Create Your Life virtual planning retreat. Or if you do visit glamazini.com/coaching, it is also there. The price goes up the first of every month. Amen. Creating your life means creating your relationships differently. And if I can support you, I would love to. That's it, you guys. Thank you for joining me tonight and be well, everybody. Be encouraged. Let's see. Where is here we go. Here's a pineapple. Bye, y'all.